Hello, everyone. My name is Kylie, and I'm a recertification specialist with the Washington State Department of Agriculture Licensing and Recertification Program. I can't be with you in person today, so I'm sending this video to Dr. Laura Kraft to share. I'm going to talk about some pesticide license changes to the certification and training rule that will affect all of you. First, I'll give you a little background about the Washington Certification and Training Rule. The Environmental Protection Agency updated their Federal Pesticide Certification and Training Rule 40 CFR Part 171 in 2017. EPA's updated federal rule requires WSDA to strengthen protections for Washington pesticide applicators and the public. We anticipate these changes will improve applicator safety and protect human health and the environment. We submitted our new Washington State Plan to EPA in 2020, and it was approved in 2022. A lot of Washington's current certification and training plan is in statute. The new C&T updates require us to make changes to both our laws and rules. We moved some of those updates through legislature already in 2023. We're continuing the rest of the rule changes and codification right now in 2025. The new rules will be effective at the beginning of 2026. Some changes start immediately on January 1st. Others will be rolled out. WSDA needs all changes to be implemented by December 31st, 2030 in order to comply with EPA's requirements. Meeting the new requirements. What does that mean and what does that look like for you? EPA's federal pesticide rules list specific topics that pesticide applicators need to know in order to do their job safely to protect themselves, others, and the environment. These are called competency standards. WSDA is required to test for EPA competency standards on our exams. These standards look different for each category. Right now, Washington licensees studied manuals and took exams that are missing standards that EPA added in 2017. EPA was clear current licensees cannot be grandfathered in because they haven't been assessed on the new competency standards. This means all Washington licensees will need to do something to keep their licenses valid after January 1st, 2026. We have over 25,000 licensees, so in our state plan, we asked EPA if we could do a rolling implementation based on research cycle, and EPA said yes. So this means that after January 1st, you will have until the end of your recertification cycle to meet the new requirements. What does that look like for you? This chart is on our website, and I'll share it with you later in the presentation. The new rules start January 1st, 2026. After January 1st, you have until the end of your recertification cycle to meet your requirements. Find your recertification cycle in the left column, and then the right column tells you what your due date is for meeting the new requirements. So what do you have to do to meet the new requirements? After January 1st, 2026, Washington pesticide licensees will need to take a certification and training course before the end of their recertification cycle to keep their licenses active. Washington State University has made a 2-credit Internet on-demand C&T course that will be available online on January 1st. This is one course that covers many standards and counts towards your research cycle. Licensees can also choose to take a quiz to fulfill this C&T requirement. Reach out to us at Washington State Department of Agriculture if this is your preference. What does that one C&T course cover? It covers core competencies missing from laws and safety and dealer manager exams. It covers new standards for a demonstration and research category. It covers insect and disease control standards that are missing. It covers vertebrate pest control standards missing from PCO General and Pest Animal. It covers standards missing from the private applicator exam. Covers standards missing from the soil fumigation RMM category. This is if you took soil fumigation after January 1st, 2013. It covers fumigant standards that are missing from stored grain and fumigant categories, and it covers missing weed control competency standards. So most folks can take the certification and training course and meet their requirements. But there are some existing categories that are missing too many new competency standards to fit into a recertification course. And there are also new categories EPA added that Washington State Department of Agriculture does not have study manuals or exams for now. Testing will be required for those situations after January 1st, 2026 and before the end of your recertification cycle. So who needs to test? Well, EPA added a new aerial pest control category, so anyone making aerial applications by drone or fixed-wing plane or helicopter will have to take the new aerial exam. There are some limited specialty categories that will only allow general use pesticide application after the rule change. If you use restricted use pesticides under cooling tower, interior plantscaping, post-harvest fruit and vegetable, turf demossing, stump treatment, or sewer route, you'll need to take a new category exam that best fits your situation. EPA clarified the public health category can only be used for government work to control a public health pest. If you have the public health category now and you do not meet this requirement, you will have to test for another category. If you have a retired category, which hasn't been listed in Washington Rule in quite some time, you will have to test to get the correct category. Examples of retired categories are statewide, tree fruit, and golf course superintendent, but you can also find the full list on our website. If you took soil fumigation before 2013, you will need to take the updated soil fumigation exam. And lastly, EPA added a new space fumigation category. So anyone who uses space fumigants will have to take the new space fumigation exam. The only exceptions to this are folks who have the stored grain or fumigant categories now. If nothing on this slide is relevant to you, you can keep your license active by just taking the C&T course. There are also some non-category C&T changes I'll touch on quickly. The first is minimum age. EPA now requires that all license applicators be at least 18 years old. This rule change was passed in 2023 and is already in effect. Unlicensed applicators applying under direct supervision will also have to be 18, with one exception. An unlicensed or non-certified applicator applying restricted use products can be 16 if they are an immediate family member of a supervising private applicator and they are not making aerial applications and they are not applying a fumigant. This rule change is still in process and it will go into effect January 1st, 2026. There are also some upcoming changes to rules impacting the direct supervision of non-certified applicators using federal restricted use products. The new requirements for direct supervision outline the minimum age for the unlicensed applicator applying restricted use products, which I just covered, the responsibilities of the licensed applicator supervising those unlicensed applicators, and training requirements and options for unlicensed applicators. So these rules will go into effect January 1st, 2026. Before the updated C&T rule, there were no specific record-keeping requirements for dealers at the federal level. So when EPA published the new rule, Washington State was ahead of many states. There are a few changes, though, as the federal rule goes beyond what we have in place now. There are 3 new fields required in dealer record keeping specific to the sale or distribution of federal restricted use products. They are the expiration date of the license, the categories that the licensee has that are relevant to the sale, and any emergency exemption or special local need registration number relevant to the sale. And this will go into effect January 1st, 2026. So I've just crammed what is usually a 15-minute presentation into 10 minutes. And right now I'm going to pivot to share our website resources with you so you can find more information about everything I've covered in much more detail. All of the web page resources are available in English and Spanish. This QR code here on the screen will take you to the C&T Resources main website. You can also find the page by going to www.agr.wa.gov and searching for certification and training. So right now I'm going to close my PowerPoint presentation and then open up the website so we can go through this together. So here's our main certification and training updates webpage. So use the banner at the top of the page to sign up for Gov Delivery notifications about pesticide licensing. And this is where we'll also email folks about any C&T rule updates. So my apologies, a little jumpy when I scroll down the page with my mouse, but you can see at the top of the page, there's a button if you want to view everything in Spanish. Like I said, all the materials are in English and Spanish. So there's just a little blurb about what's happening. A reminder for everyone that this starts January 1st, 2026. Talks about taking that C&T course. So also mention some licensees will have to take exams to meet the new standards. So now we scroll down the page further. You can see there is a how to comply with C&T changes link that we'll go look at in a minute. But I also want to let you know that there is a link to take you to some recorded webinars, YouTube playlists, so videos that we've made talking about all of this in more detail. They're organized by applicator type, so you can find more information about the minimum age changes I touched on, about direct supervision changes, and about dealer record keeping requirement additions in case there are any dealer managers in this meeting today. But let's go look at the how to comply charts because this is what you want to do. You want to look at these to look up information based on your license type and categories you have and what work you want to do to understand what you need to do to keep your license active after January 1st. So I'm going to click through. Here we are on the page, how to comply with the C&T changes. So again, if you want to view it in Spanish, you'd click this link here. Reminds you new rules begin January 1st, tells you to take that C&T course before the end of your research cycle. Says some folks need to take new exams. That's also going to be before the end of your research cycle. So then it has a little information. It has the license requirements chart and the category requirements chart. It also has a chart that covers who needs to test in more detail. And then you can see if I scroll down a bit more, there's a little bit about the C&T course, and we'll update that as more information becomes available. So, and then here is that deadline chart that I showed you on the PowerPoints earlier. So you can see, for instance, if your recertification cycle is 2022 to 2026, then you're going to need to take that course and maybe take any exams depending on your situation by December 31st, 2026. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up so that we can look at the license and category charts just to give you an idea of what those look like. So first I'm clicking on the license requirements chart. Okay, it tells you again, it starts January 1st, 2026, and you have till the end of your research cycle. So there's a bunch of license types listed, but you can click through to what you want. So I'm going to jump to private applicator, clicking right now. Takes me down to that part of the page. So, and then you can see it says, if I'm a private applicator and I want to keep my license, then what I'm going to need to do is take the C&T course. So, and then it reminds me here that that C&T course covers some missing standards for private applicator, and that I might have to do some other stuff based on the work I do, so I need to make sure I check that requirements based on category chart. So, but the next line under private applicator says, if I use space fumigants, then I need to pass the new space fumigation exam. So, and if I need to make aerial pesticide applications, fixed wing plane, helicopter, UAV, drone, etc., then I need to pass that new aerial pest control exam. And again, that's before the end of my research cycle. So after I do that, then the new aerial pest control category will be added to my license. And you can see there's a link here in case I want to watch a recorded webinar about the new aerial category. So, or if I want to watch a video about the new space fumigation webinar. So anyways, let's go back. I'm going to click the back arrow to take me over to, one more time, to go to the category requirements. Say I was a private applicator with aquatic pest control. Then I want to look at the C&T requirements based on the category or type of work that I do. So scrolling down, and I look over here, and okay, aquatic pest control. So I click on that, and then it says, if I need to make aquatic applications, then I must do nothing. So that's nice. And then the description says there are no changes to the aquatic pest control standard. So in this example, if I was a private applicator who had aquatic pest control, then remember I'm going to need to take that C&T course for my private applicator license. Say I want to do drone applications, then I'll need to take the aerial pest exam. But as far as my aquatic pest control category is concerned, there's nothing that I need to do for C&T. So anyways, I hope this helps. I encourage you to go look and play around with the website and then look up your licenses and your categories and see what you need to do. Okay. You can also, if you're worried and want to make sure that you don't need to test, then you can look at the who needs to test chart, okay, which is going to give every example of when someone needs to test. It's sort of set up in the same organization of information. It says if you have this category, then you find this. For example, first line, if you have this category, all licensees, and you do this type of work, any aerial applications, then you need to take aerial pest control. So, okay, and hopefully that will help you figure out what you need to do. Now I'm going to share another slide, a last slide with our contact information. I know it's a lot of material and we didn't have a lot of time, so I encourage you to please reach out if you have any questions. So, all right. Again, here's a QR code in the upper left that will take you to that C&T resources webpage that I just went through. On the upper right, there's a QR code that will take you to sign up for Gov delivery notifications by email. You can also send us an email at pestlicenseupdates@agr.wa.gov if you have any questions about the C&T changes, or give us a call, 877-301-4555. And you can kind of just check out our website in general at www.agr.wa.gov. So please reach out if you have any questions, and thank you for your time.